My head is not with me today. I usually play a song right now, and I had it all ready to go. Where is it? What happened? Here it is. Let me cue this up here. And I don't know if you might recognize this. It was kind of a cute movie. All right, here we go.
Fall is here, hear the yell, back to school, ring the bell, brand new shoes, walking blues, climb the fence, books and pens. I can tell that we are gonna be friends. I can tell that we are gonna be friends. Walk with me, Susie Lee, through the park and by the tree. We will rest upon the ground and look at all the bugs we found. Safely walk to school without a sound. Safely walk to school without a sound. Here we are, no one else. We walk to school all by ourselves. There's dirt on our uniforms from chasing all the ants and worms. We clean up and now it's time to learn. We clean up and now it's time to learn. Numbers, letters, learn to spell, nouns and books and show and tell. Playtime we will throw the ball, back to class, through the hall. Teacher marks our height against the wall. Teacher marks our height against the wall. We don't notice any time pass. We don't notice anything. We sit side by side in every class. Teacher thinks that I sound funny, but she likes the way you sing. Tonight I'll dream while I'm in bed, when silly thoughts go through my head about the bugs and alphabet. And when I wake tomorrow, I'll bet that you and I will walk together again. I can tell that we are gonna be friends. I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Coming to you live today from our top secret broadcasting studio, which we've had to reveal. Hang on, I dropped something real important. I dropped an advertisement here, a paid advertisement. I'll show you what this is in a little bit. Anyway, coming to you from Area 52, which is right next to Area 51, somewhere out in the middle of the Nevada desert. But we're not in the Nevada desert, not anymore. It looks like, and let me go to the website here, and you can do this too, fox2now.com. That is the local Fox affiliate here in St. Louis, and you can see that we are within moments, I tell you, of receiving some real live, I missed it. If you go to fox2now.com on your browser, you can open up another tab on your browser, and you go to fox2now.com and go to the weather part of it. You'll see little Festus, Missouri there, and you'll see a rainstorm moving just south of our area. No, I went and rolled my windows up and everything for nothing. And now I want you to notice, I'm going to switch the camera angle here, that I have the overhead webcam. Let me switch it here. I have the overhead webcam moved slightly. See those two empty chairs there? They were supposed to have people in them, and I don't know where they went. We're starting our homecoming event. By the way, somebody had emailed me on Pastor Mike Online the other day, and I didn't get to it. And they said, "What is homecoming?" Well, it's just a gathering we have, a set of meetings where people from all over the country. We'll have people from Canada and Florida. You know, Canada is like the 51st state of the United States. That's kind of how we think here in America. Anyway, We'll have people from Canada and Florida and Arkansas maybe, and different places in Missouri. And we have a family that came in yesterday from Indianapolis, and they came in and was part of our service last night. And wonderful family. We had a good time visiting with them, and they like our restaurant. We have a Mexican restaurant here in the area. We actually have two of them. One is a little bit better than the other. It's called La Pachanga. Now, my niece, Christina, calls it La Plunger. Okay, but it's really, really good restaurant, and they seem to like it. And so we had a good time at dinner last night, and they came, and we had church service with them. And I was assuming they would be, because they had asked if they could come in here during the broadcast. Yeah, the more the merrier. So look what I did. I set up chairs, two of them. There's like a family of 6, so I don't know where the rest of them's going to go. I set up chairs and moved camera angles and everything. So I don't know. Alicia said they were going to the zoo today. So maybe they got eaten by lions or something like that. Anyway, but good to be with you today. I have pieces of paper. I have an unidentified flying object. I have advertisements to deal with, and we're going to do our random access Bible study. Now, I was at Drudge Report a while ago. Let me pull that back up, and there was an article there that seemed to interest me somewhat. Let me type, because I can't type and talk at the same time. And another thing that I cannot do is I cannot play the piano and talk at the same time. And I've seen people do that, and I don't know how in the world. I can play the piano and sing, but I cannot play the piano and talk at the same time, and I cannot talk and type at the same time. Here is the interesting article from Drudge Report, and there's a couple of them here. U.S. borrowing, and remember, the debt deal is already in place and it's signed. You had people in Congress working feverishly, or at least putting forth the illusion that they were working feverishly on reducing the amount of money that our nation borrows. And I heard a statistic the other day, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that said that we borrow 40% of what we spend every day. 40% of what we spend, of the total, let's say that our nation spends $100 a day. Yeah. If we spent $100 a day, $40 of that every day is borrowed. Okay? That's where we are. So there was some, and I think there was some legitimately trying to say, hey, we got to cut this stuff. We can't do this. But it didn't work. And they're going to make this idea they're going to make it look like there's going to be a committee of 12 men and the president. And somebody sent me an email that said that's 13. Here you have 12 and another one. That's like the disciples and Jesus. Well, okay. And there's rumor that these 12 men, 6 Democrats, 6 Republicans, are going to make what's called a super Congress. And they're the ones that are actually going to be making the final decision on everything. Actually, these guys are sort of disposed with the job of figuring out what to cut out of our budget. And I don't look for anything good to come out of it. But here is a story from Yahoo News that says U.S. borrowing tops 100% of gross domestic product. The U.S. debt shot up $238 billion to reach over 100% of gross domestic product after the government's debt ceiling was lifted, Treasury figures showed Wednesday. Treasury borrowing jumped Tuesday, the data showed, immediately after President Barack Obama signed into law an increase in the debt ceiling as the country's spending commitments reached a breaking point and it threatened to default on its debt. The new borrowing took total public debt to $14.58 trillion over the end of 2010 gross domestic product of $14.53 trillion. Now let me put this. Let me explain this. Our gross domestic product is the total amount of goods and services that the people of this country produce. So every year, the good people of the United States of America work hard, and they produce $14.53 trillion of products and services. Okay? Our debt went 0.05% over the amount of product and services that we produce every year. Went over that. Okay? So we are now in a situation where we are borrowing or have borrowed more money than we can pay back. Okay? But that's the situation that we're in right now. We talked about this on the Watchman video broadcast, and here's another headline from Drudge Report: the Dow plummets. Duh. I'm just reading headlines here. Gains for the year erased. Deeper than the post-TARP plunge. That was the bank bailout. S&P, the Standard & Poor, hits correction territory. In other words, if it keeps going today, then at some point the Standard & Poor's index will tell their computers to turn off and quit trading. And they'll just kind of shut down for a minute. And so anyway, we talked about this in the Watchman video broadcast a couple of weeks ago when I first came back from Kenya, about the ridiculous amount of money that we are borrowing right now and the amount of money that we will continue to borrow. And it's shameful. It really is. I went around in Kenya talking about America, and there were some things that I said were terrible about America, and one of them is our debt. At one time, Americans were hard workers. I mean, we built a good country. I'm not